On this episode, we give our Money in the Bank predictions, discuss WWE doing 2 pay-per-views a month, the Shield's reunion on Raw, Takeover, the end impressions, and more now on Byte That. Hey gang, what's going on? Welcome. You're listening to episode 147 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, a place, a location where we do talk about that, which is the WWE Universe. So thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. We are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music, and of course our YouTube channel where you can get tons of different discussion videos. That is youtube.com/Byte That Cast. Now, if you do enjoy the show, if you make this part of your weekly routine and you want to support us, there are different ways you can do so. You can get our official Byte That logo t-shirt over at whatamaneuver.net. And if you listen to us on the road, simply drop a review and a 5-star rating, or any rating that you think is best for us on iTunes or any of the platforms. That goes an awesome long way into supporting us and getting the word out about what it is we do. So my name is Juan Velas. I am still from the shining star of the Caribbean. I wasn't sure. I lost the place that I was from for a second, but I do know that, Ryan, you're still from Boston, Mass, right?
I hope so.
That is there. Now, sitting on the third chair, back on the show after a 1-week mysterious absence from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Poshik. How you doing? Good?
Hi. How's it going?
It's going great, man. Can we all agree to just move on? And
Agreed.
We're going to do
keep
this.
that train rolling, baby. The train stops for nothing. There's no stations to park in, so let's just keep this rolling.
We're like Shelton Benjamin's theme song. There ain't no stopping me, nah. But you're not going to paint your hair gold, and that was terrible.
Juan, you can be my Mama Benjamin.
Oh, man. Does that mean, Ryan, can you get me some of those pajamas? Because I will wear those. I'm serious.
You want a moo-moo is what you're saying?
I thought the train was rolling and we made a stop that I was not ready for.
Oh, man. While you have that mental image sinking, there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. Primarily, we are going to get to the WWE Money in the Bank predictions. So we're not going to get to a lot of different storylines. So in the first part here, we're going to get to the Shield reunion and primarily this whole thing that Jerry the King Lawler sent out, where apparently WWE is contemplating adding another pay-per-view a month. But before that, per tradition, Raw. Every week, we present everybody's, the listeners, your ratings that you give to us on our Twitter. That's Byte That Cast. So before I even get to you guys, I'm going to get to the ratings. So, what did everybody think about WWE Raw? In our patented, trademarked, copyrighted, none of those three, out of 4 rating scale, people responded. Number 1 was a 3 out of 4. 40% said it was good. 38% gave it a 2 out of 4, stating it was meh. Now, 14% gave it a 4 out of 4, stating it was great. And only an 8% gave it a 1 out of 4, stating it was bad. So this is very different from the past couple of weeks where not even one person gave it a 4 out of 4. So taking it to Mr. Poshik, who we haven't heard too much about, you weren't here last week. What did you think about this Raw and the fact that people largely thought it was a good show?
I honestly thought Raw was very meh. It feels like the WWE is on a very slow decline where the shows kind of feel worse and worse every week. Maybe not worse, but definitely less interesting. And I don't feel like that is great at all, considering that we're heading towards the draft with almost no momentum. At least that's what it feels like. I was actually surprised that people thought it was a good show, because I didn't.
I thought it was a better show than the past 2 weeks, so I would say it was probably like a 2.5 if I was allowed to give that score. I thought it was a passable show. there were some highlights. Once again, I saw the trend of, even though there were some good moments with like Owens on commentary and stuff in the third hour, it still felt like they're following that trend of, hey, the must-see moments are not happening at the end of the show anymore. They really are just like surrendering that third hour to just, I mean, yes, you're going to get some good matches, but normally you would expect either the Shield reunion to end the show or the Cena and AJ Styles press conference. But every single time now, that's happening in that second hour.
I was very surprised that Shield segment didn't close out the show, because I'm thinking, like, how long have we been talking in this podcast? Like, man, when that happens, right? Like, the build-up needs to be there. That's going to be what people want. And it was just sort of like this hokey, fun thing, which was enjoyable. You know, it was cool seeing the three guys back together and sort of seeing how their characters have changed so much. And, like, I really enjoyed how Seth Rollins savored the fact that he turned on his former teammates.
Seth is so good.
Yeah,
he was able to tug at your heartstrings with the, I really enjoyed my time in the ring. My favorite moment was, and then just all of a sudden, boom, turn, hitting you with a chair.
It should have felt like a bigger moment, though. It should have felt way bigger.
Because now it's no longer there, right? Like, we can have the eventual triple threat match, which it's still going to happen. I believe it's still going to happen. We're not going to maybe get to that now, but overall, I agree. It was a passable Raw. It established and reaffirmed these matches are happening at Money in the Bank, but I don't know. Like, I don't feel like the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is the main focus, and it's not. Like, it is clearly not. The one that got the contract signing was AJ Cena. The one that got the Ambrose Asylum, no offense to Dean Ambrose, was the champion. So I think that goes a long way in WWE being aware that maybe you should focus on the one that people care about, which is Cena and Styles, which, whatever. So let's actually get a little bit more to this whole Shield reunion thing. How do you think this made Roman Reigns feel? People will keep, saying like he's like a whatever champion. I dare say this is going to be sort of an odd example. I'm hoping people understand it. I'm getting some Chris Benoit vibes from the champion standpoint. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep,
like,
I know what
Benoit
you
became world champion, but it was like, whatever, man. You have the title. Doesn't really matter. You're not the main focus. It is Triple H and everybody else, even Kane more than you.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Because, like you mentioned, when Benoit was champion, he was nowhere near the center of attention on this show. It was all Triple H and whatever he was up to. And at least at the moment, it definitely hasn't been for the last feud with AJ Styles. But for this pay-per-view, for this run, Roman has definitely taken a back seat, which is crazy considering it's the return of Seth Rollins. You would think that it would be a much bigger deal. But no, the part of Triple H here is being played by John Cena.
Yeah, all of this should feel bigger. And let's kind of think here what the build-up for this feud has been. So after the amazing pedigree at the end of the last pay-per-view, Extreme Rules, I think was that immediately after that, the following Monday, we got Seth Rollins running back and forth up and down a ramp.
Yep.
And then the next week, it was 2 video packages, albeit well put together, but neither of them appeared on Raw.
No, wait, the Rollins thing was the week after, because the Raw after was like, is he a good guy or a bad guy? So then he was cemented to be the bad guy.
That's where, why did you have to say it like that? But that is where, Rollins cut the great promo, and then the next week was where he did the running up and down the ramp. And then we got the video packages, and then we got the Shield reunion, which was on an Ambrose Asylum. And as much as I like Ambrose, I feel like a lot of his jokes fell flat, and pretty much the only one who came out of this looking good, I felt like, was Seth Rollins. And
Agreed.
So it's just been a really weak build as compared to like the Cena AJ thing has really only had 2 promos, and they had, of course, they've had 3 promos, I guess, at this point, and they were all like fantastic. So it's just like the build should have been much better, but just kind of fell by the wayside. And it shouldn't have for a match this big.
It really goes to show that creating some like sort of great build is really a two-way street, because during this whole thing, Seth has kind of been on his own as far as generating hype. Like, Roman hasn't really done much except kind of stand there, look all cool, look all tough, and then throw out his little catchphrases. It's been all Seth.
Well, it's like Ryan said. Seth comes back, gives a pedigree. Seth comes back, states he's a bad guy. Then he comes back again, does the running thing. Like, and then it's the Ambrose Asylum, right? We're talking about Ambrose and Rollins, but what is the champion doing? Like, is the champion just a title holder at this point? Like, is that just a role?
He's the guy, Juan.
No, and that's not the number one catchphrase. No. I refuse to believe that, WWE. You will not manipulate the system in such a way. Really? Can we have like a 10-second conversation, maybe a little bit more than that? Like, WWE, I don't know if you guys know this, they put up a video on their YouTube channel, top 10 catchphrases, I believe, of the last decade or something. And the number one was the guy. That was it. That was the main one.
Yeah, I mean, it was atrocious, and it kind of shows how bad some of the catchphrases are in the last 10 years. Was
what
the
were
yes
some of the
chant even
others
on there?
That list?
I don't even know if it was, but it had like the "we make sure you ain't booty" and stuff, which, you know, I love the New Day, but I don't think that's a very good catchphrase. And like "we the people," you know, "we the people."
That was a good catchphrase.
I would accept that, but the guy thing, it hasn't even. You know, why not put "believe in the Shield"? I'll go with that.
Yeah.
You know, this "the guy" thing like just happened, and if they really want people to like Roman Reigns, they shouldn't make it so obvious that they're fixing things in his favor.
Because even with "We the People," it got the crowd going.
Yeah,
right?
the
Like
crowd actually legitimately loved to do it, so I'll give them
the whole
credit.
point of the catchphrase is to get the people doing something. Like if you smell what the Rock is cooking, like when, like that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so. Like, when is the last time or first time you heard the crowd massively going, "The guy, the guy"?
Yeah, that's not. You're not gonna get the whole crowd saying, "He's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's the guy."
Seinfeld?
I never realized until right now just how bad of a chant
It was that my
would
Jerry
be.
Seinfeld impression. Oh
Yeah, I'm
my
just gonna
God.
roll over that one. But like, you can't even chant anything to that. Are people just gonna chant at Roman's guy, 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 guy?
Yeah, like, hey, he's actually a man. Therefore, he's, you know, like genetically a guy. But
Genetically
it's-
superior.
that too. Well, Charlotte maybe also, but like I think it's part of a larger conversation where the problem is not even Roman Reigns, is, as you said, Ryan. Maybe catchphrases just sort of became lame, or at least to us, because maybe the younger audience absolutely loves that. I mean, there's a reason the Bootios, for as corny as a catchphrase it may be, it caught on. I mean, we talked about that before, but I want to completely switch gears now. And we're not going to talk about E3, although I would love to, but we are going to talk about some rumors that Jerry the King Lawler stirred the pot a little bit about, and Dave Meltzer.
First, before you get into that, let me preface this with, about a year ago, Jerry Lawler told somebody that there was a good chance SmackDown was going live. So there's usually some credibility to what's being said, and he's not just working people.
Yeah, so having said that, the latest rumor that Meltzer did, you know, say that this is going to be the thing. After the brand split, the brands will have their own individual pay-per-views, which means that instead of having one pay-per-view a month, although sometimes because of the calendar, we have gotten 2 pay-per-views a month, you know, like farther apart or something, we are going to get 2 brand-specific pay-per-views a month.
Can we do a collective sigh?
Yep.
And okay, like, I think this is not even a rant moment. This is more of a vent, even though that's like a synonym of a rant. But does WWE only think they exist in the world? I was streaming. Well, that too. Yes. I was streaming on Monday, and a lot of, you know, Byte That listeners tune in. So I had a couple of people there, and I figured, hey, why not, you know, just blatantly ask this? And a lot of the people there, they were younger people that maybe have a part-time job, or, you know, they just go to school, and they were super optimistic about that. But then when I presented my case as, hey, I have a full-time job, you know, I'm married, like I have things to do at home. Like we do the podcast, which, as much as we love this, it is work that we do aside from our traditional work. Plus, we at some point have to watch wrestling as fans, right? Like just be able to enjoy it. And now we have this where we have 2 pay-per-views, and even they went like, oh man, like when you put it like that, it's a little bit tough, because like we talked about the block of pay-per-view, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, right? You got to add another thing to that now.
Yeah, now that's twice a month that it's, I mean, if you're only talking Raw and SmackDown, so you go pay-per-view, Raw, SmackDown, that's what, 7 hours? If you don't even include the pre-show of the pay-per-view?
Exactly.
It's a lot of content.
It's absurd.
Okay, you okay, Keith?
No. I don't feel good about this.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Yes, this is, it's not just us complaining that, hey, that means, that's more things we have to cover. It's also the fact that, I mean, think about the build for many pay-per-views is pretty weak a lot of times. And now they're going to have to try and build 2 different pay-per-views, at least. When you have the brand split in all like neutral pay-per-views, you can kind of put a lot more emphasis on building certain feuds on certain shows, and they get a lot more time to be built up and meaningful. It's very concerning, and especially so soon. I mean, the draft is going to be in July, and then they were saying around September is when they're moving to dual pay-per-views. That's not a lot of time for SmackDown to establish itself before they do their own pay-per-view.
Exactly. I was a big fan of the old brand split model where it was a Raw pay-per-view, then a SmackDown pay-per-view, then a Raw pay-per-view, then maybe like the big one where
isn't
they
that where
join
we're going
together.
Towards?
No. Because
like it was per month. So like October would be Raw, then I guess November would be Survivor Series, then December would be SmackDown or whatever.
So
like it would be
the brands would get 2 months to build a pay-per-view.
Exactly, and that's the direction I thought that they were going with it.
Yeah, and think about how stacked they were back then, and they were doing pay-per-views like that. And let's be honest, as there's tons of talent, but star power is seriously lacking nowadays, and they want to do 2 pay-per-views a month. And I get the network kind of changes the game here, but you're competing with football and especially starting in the fall. You're going to be competing with Monday Night Football and stuff, and you want to do that now twice a month. Are people willing to commit to that?
I think that the problem is, and once again, I can only speak for myself here, as much. Like, I live and breathe wrestling. Like, I don't watch it 24 hours a day, but, if you look at my Spotify listening history, I primarily listen to theme music, and then I will listen to a wrestling podcast. I will watch wrestling. Like, whenever I do DDP yoga, I put on the network. Like, I consume a lot of wrestling. And my initial reaction to this should be like, yes, man, like more unique, current content. And it was just like, no, man, like, like I mentioned E3, there are a lot of video games coming out. I would like to have some time on a Sunday to be able to play said video games. And it almost feels like, like we can hypothetically skip it, but then you're like missing a part of it, right? So I guess that's their premise. It's like, haha,
you also
we
don't
got
want to
you.
feel like you're missing out.
Yeah, so it's really, really tough. Any more thoughts about this?
Maybe it's just time to let go of that mentality where it's okay to miss a thing or two.
But I think WWE needs to realize that less is more. I mean, I remember I was talking to you yesterday, Juan, just on our group me thing, that what happened to the days where we used to be anticipating Raw? You couldn't wait to watch. But now these 3-hour Raws, it's so much. We have so much WWE content now that it's like, oh, yep, Raw's on. That excitement isn't there week to week like it should be. There's just so much content that it doesn't feel special to watch anymore. And then we were concerned, okay, 5 hours every Monday and Tuesday, that's a lot. And now they want to pile on even more. Before we even get that, they're already talking about piling on more. So it's absurd. It's really absurd. They need to take a quality over quantity and less is more approach. I don't care if I'm getting less content on the WWE network if the quality is better.
Agreed.
I kind of get one more closing argument. You know, we're talking about mainland, like Canada, US, that type of stuff. But I'm assuming there's got to be some kind of international pressure for places that maybe only show Raw or only show SmackDown, where it's like, hey, if you don't have a pay-per-view exclusive to this consistently, there's going to be this huge gap, right? So I get that could be some kind of a objective argument. But still, man, like, it kind of sucks because we've said it countless times. The roster is there. And the storylines, although they're not quite at the level, like we've been talking about AJ and we're going to get to the predictions, they're doing some things that are right. And it just sort of feels like, man, we're finally getting somewhere, right? Like they've been on this downhill for a couple of weeks now, but that happens every time. We've had this conversation almost every year around SummerSlam. It's, just part of the routine. And I'm just not sure that splitting the brands, okay, good option, but 2 pay-per-views a month like that, even back then, Keith, because you were talking about that, I hated the Raw exclusive pay-per-views. I thought they sucked, like when the original brand split happened. The SmackDown ones were great, and I didn't even watch SmackDown at the time. I loved the SmackDown pay-per-views more than the Raw ones. So
which is fair.
Yeah.
They were better. Raw was very not what it was today.
They had Undertaker, Kurt Angle, Triple H, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Edge, Rey Mysterio. Like, you can go on and on and on. And it's like, do they even have close to that star power? I'm talking star power to carry these pay-per-views every single month. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't just take the approach that they took before, or every pay-per-view's neutral. You do every single pay-per-view's neutral, or you do the let's have a Raw, let's have a SmackDown, and then the big 4 are the neutral ones.
Or even, I guess, like just food for thought for everybody listening. What would everybody listening think about WWE saying, okay, we got to put out 2 pay-per-views a month, right? Or 2 special events. What if event number 1 was the traditional pay-per-view? Further develop storylines. Event number 2, do the live event specials like the MSG stuff and all that. Like, you get to have this different kind of exposure, but just don't have it directly affect the storylines. You get to do that, and anybody that doesn't want to watch that, they don't miss the storyline element of it. So send us a tweet, Byte That Cast. YouTube, just drop a comment or email or just cry and yell. Eventually, Keith will hear you, and then he may give you a hug or not. But I mean, it may happen. And just as a tiny follow-up conversation here, so last week we sort of jumped to the conclusion that Stephanie was going to run SmackDown.
How
Shane
dare
McMahon was going to run. Yeah, right? Like,
How dare we think that when Stephanie ended the show saying, I'm going to run SmackDown, that she actually wasn't going to run SmackDown.
How dare you guys?
Man, we should just like watch Raw on mute and take it for just like the physical involvement or something. But yeah, so we don't know who's going to run what. And Shane and Stephanie, I guess, are primarily battling for Raw, which, once again, like, how do you develop equal shows when you guys are really arguing over one and then who gets the other one?
Real talk here.
Didn't Shane say he was going to take SmackDown at the end?
The whole
Real
show.
talk.
Because he said that now, it definitely means he's not going to take it.
Shane McMahon should have SmackDown. There should be no question. He lost the right to run Raw at WrestleMania.
What are you talking about?
And it should end right there. Boom,
Which
done.
show? He wrestled there?
Right? WrestleMania? Hear of it? Hell in a Cell?
I wonder if
jumped off
Undertaker's letter of recommendation had some words for Shane about, hey, why are you still here?
Right?
Yeah. Just like, man, like, you had that spot. We had a moment together. You haven't even called me since. But, so there is ongoing speculation, and this is good stuff for me, that, we had Teddy Long a week before. And now that we may have this conversation up until the draft, which takes place in about a month, are we going to see Eric Bischoff or somebody else show up as like, hey, look at me, I can be the GM? Is that going to be the rundown?
That would be pretty awesome. Doesn't he have like a DVD or something coming out?
Yeah, it just came out actually last week, as a matter of fact.
So I mean,
I kind of want to watch it.
They've been working together, I assume, if they're going to release
like
something like that.
timing.
So I'd say there's a good chance he at least makes a guest appearance. I also think that Kane definitely had the line of the night where he's like, Shane, is like, if this is about that whole like electrocuting your testicles thing, I thought we were past that. Like, that was just beautiful.
No, that was great. I actually really like the whole bring in somebody from the administration's past. Like, if they bring in someone like John Laurinaitis next week, that would be awesome.
Although I would love the dynamic of Shane and Kane, just because it rhymes, so, marketable t-shirts or something. And, I mean, those storylines, like, Shane technically killed off Kane when he super kicked him or something into that flaming trash thingy. What's that called?
You mean a trash can?
Well, it wasn't a trash
dumpster?
can. Yeah, the dumpster. The dumpster.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm thinking in Spanish. But it would be crazy to
And
see,
you're
like...
hooked on phonics.
Yes. No, I always saw the commercials here, but I always thought that was unnecessary. I just learned by watching Cartoon
He's
Network
got
and
the
Toonami.
Rosetta Stone Maggle.
Honestly, I owe Dragon Ball Z primarily for my initial learning of the English language. So thank you
So
for
Did
from
you
learning
say
that-
curse you to everyone when you were yelling
Yeah.
at them?
Yes.
Or like when you were trying to think of a thought, did you just like power up like, oh?
I just kept saying Kakarot, and everybody looked at me funny. Oh man, good times. Nostalgia trip over. Okay, gang, so before we go on to more wrestling talk and conversations and good things, we are going to talk about more wrestling talk and conversations. So, if you go to the YouTube channel this Friday, we are releasing a highly requested video. So, we have the draft taking place in about a month. But what if Ryan told you that the draft actually takes place this Friday?
The
Ryan, what if you
draft
said
actually
that?
takes place this Friday.
Oh my God, you just said that. Wow. Yeah, so Keith and I are having our hypothetical WWE draft where Keith is the GM of Raw. Okay, Finite fans, like, it's not going to work out the same way. And I'm going to be the GM of SmackDown. Ryan's going to play moderator, and we're going to draft. It is easily one of the lengthiest YouTube-specific videos we've ever released, and we had a ton of fun. So we're not going to spoil about our picks, but it was quite surprising. And Keith, just overall, like, what you think of the experience?
It was fun. I enjoyed it. And even though we're not going to spoil anything, I had the way better show.
I strongly disagree. I really disagree with that. But after everybody watches on the YouTube channel, just let us know if you're Team Juan or Team Keith, and then just, if you like Ryan, just look at Ryan there.
If I did a hell of a moderating job, you let me know.
Exactly. No, and Ryan, you actually posted something pretty cool in celebration of E3. We're going to be talking about video games all over the place, things that are going to come out. You posted a video over the weekend giving your WWE 2K17 wish list, correct?
Yep, I went over the top 5 things that I wanted to see in 2K17. I know we're getting some information about the roster, but I don't think we're going to get too many details concerning the game. So I thought it was a good time to let people know what I want to see in the game, and you guys make sure to let me know what you guys want to see as well.
Yes, good conversation. And about that roster, 3 confirmed people. 1, John Cena's going to be in the game. No DLC.
Shocker.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Ultimate Warrior. And the third one is Sasha Banks. So they're getting it out of the way. They're finally going to get in the game Sasha Banks. So those are the 3 for the time being.
Well, I know what theme my car will have.
Yes. Just as long as you put on the glasses, Keith, I will be one happy camper. Guys, can we get a quick comment or update, I guess you can say, about this whole Darren Young and making him great again? It's been happening for a lot of weeks. They have this parallel thing. So last week I had the whole Shining Stars argument, right? But it seems like they have a similar thing happening with Darren Young and Bob Backlund, where they're just putting out this vignette. So maybe it's them experimenting. What if they don't wrestle every week? What if we just develop some kind of character or something? Do you guys appreciate that?
Well, I think the difference between the 2 vignettes is that the Darren Young one is good. The Shining Star ones are not. Oh, those are so brutal. I don't know if I can handle seeing another week of green screen beach. It just looks so freaking bad. But I love these make Darren Young great again things, though. I really don't know what the payoff is going to be, but I'm in for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely passable. I don't know exactly where they're going, but I'm interested at least.
Bob Backlund is freaking amazing. Like Darren Young, whatever, but Mr. Backlund makes it. Like he had a good point this week. You only need one pair of clothes. It's key to success.
That is true. Yeah, and it's entertaining, right? Like it's good to sometimes just take a backseat, as you said, Keith. With the Shining Stars, and you gave me some ideas there with that green screen thing. They're not saying anything, right? Like they just keep saying the synonyms of what they said the week before, at least with Backlund and Young. You're getting some kind of funny thing where maybe you see Darren Young becoming as crazy as Bob Backlund at some point, and he starts wearing the Backlund clothing as long as he buys his own, because otherwise that's a little bit weird. But maybe it's going to work out. Maybe it's going to lead to a run at Superstars or main event, right? It's possible.
Reach for the stars, baby.
It can't be any worse than what Darren Young was doing before, which was absolutely nothing. So let's give it a shot.
Yeah, let's give it a shot, folks.
I hope Darren Young uses the cross-faced chicken wing after this.
That's a possibility, right? Like
I'm just hungry. I want chicken wings.
I'm more of a ribs guy myself.
I don't want a cross-face.
No, you don't. Right. Okay, NXT Takeover to the end. Let's just talk about that for a couple of seconds. So we don't have a lot of time to go match by match, but this did happen last week. If you guys don't mind, I want to give just my quick overall impressions. I thought it was a great show, not the greatest NXT show, but man, do Chad and Gable and Jason and Jordan have some talent.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, Gable and Jordan, like those guys are insanely talented, and the chemistry they have with the Revival as a tag team, those two teams are just perfect for each other. I mean, holy crap, that was an awesome match. I watched it 3 times in the last week, just that one match. What was your standout moment for this takeover?
So before getting into that, I'd just like to say, every time I start to think to myself, why do I keep watching this product? Why do I keep watching the weekly WWE stuff? NXT comes along and then reminds me, oh, okay, this is why I love wrestling. I loved a takeover. And the standout moment, I agree with you completely, it was the tag team match. That match was flawless as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely the tag match was the standout. I mean, as I've said before, I usually never watch the week-to-week NXTs, but I always catch the takeover. And it's just something about the matches at takeovers. Always, it feels like competition. And that's it. Like so many matches on Raw, I just feel like a chain of spots all kind of put together. And takeover, just, I love the different feel to it. And yeah, just the sequences that, that these tag teams put together, the Revival and American Alpha, it blows my mind every time. And I just how clean and crisp they are and how just fun those matches are. I don't think there was a single bad match on the card. So I know, Juan, you love Ty Dillinger, and yes. I was definitely impressed with his work. Maybe since I don't normally watch week to week, actually, for both of these guys in this match, and I forget, Andrade, is that his name?
Yeah, Andrade Cien Almas. That was his debut match.
Both of their ring gear, their entrance gear, was pretty atrocious. Now, if you want to explain either one to me, I'd be happy to hear. Like, I see what Ty Dillinger's going for. I just don't think it looks good.
Like the Cien Almas one, Triple H called him out, as a matter of fact, after the NXT takeover.
He
they
looked
had
like a
Facebook
Chippendales dancer or something.
It was horrible. Like, even myself, I was like, man, that looks bad. Like, as for one Hispanic to another, that was bad. And even Triple H said at one point during his conference, like, I don't know, like with the hat and the feather thing, like that doesn't really work, but he thought it looked good, so cool. So if Triple H says that, I think it's safe to say we're not going to see that for much longer. The Ty Dillinger thing, cool, I guess, but it doesn't fit the character. Like some people has liked it. I preferred when he just came up with the T-shirt and then he had the tent sign and just put it up right at the end of the entrance. I don't know why.
He seemed like he was trying to like half Stardust it out there with that whole like neck thing.
It was weird.
Entrance aside, Ty Dillinger, man, like that guy needs a freaking break, and he keeps losing a lot of matches, but I think that opening match was the best example of, you can lose a match.
That super kick was so good. It was so good.
They both looked awesome.
And one thing I want to say about the cage match, besides I thought the fact that Joe I really liked how dominant he looked in the match, but I had so much hope that NXT wasn't going to have the door as one of the rules. And that was just a huge disappointment. I thought they were going to be like, no, screw the door. But yeah, that was a disappointment.
Oh, thank you for reminding me something. Huge nitpick at the beginning of the match. The only way to win is by climbing over, escaping the cage, pinfall, or submission. That's not the only way to win. That's 4 options. Like, that is not one way to win. Not
the only ways to win, I guess.
Yeah, but they kept saying the only way. They kept hyping that up.
Yeah, only isn't the best word there.
The only way to win, escaping over the top, escaping through the door, pinfall, submission, telling somebody they suck, getting a bag of Cheetos. Like, this is why cage matches are just atrocious nowadays, but it was still a great match.
Cheetos are good too, so that is there.
Never been a fan of Cheetos.
Really?
Huh. Yeah, I don't like.
What about
dust.
Jacks?
I don't know what Jacks are.
I don't know
They're
what those
like
are.
the different cheese puffs. No, maybe it's only around here.
I know cheese puffs.
They're like puffier
they're the
Cheetos.
balls, right? They're the cheese balls.
No, they're still like the cheese like curls, but they're just puffier.
Oh.
No, I don't know those.
We're gonna
all right,
have to
hashtag shout out to Jax out there. Anyone who loves those, let me know.
Somewhere out there, the Jax marketing team is crying like, this guy from Puerto Rico and this Canadian guy don't know who we are. Why?
Poor Jack.
But let's have a bit of a break from Jack and talk about Money in the Bank. So we're gonna be going match by match, no lightning around here. We're just gonna give our very summarized recap about how we're feeling about each storyline and match, and then provide our predictions. So the roundup will be what?
Nothing. No, keep going.
Oh,
keep
no,
going.
like Ryan kept looking at me. I'm like, what'd I say? But yeah, it's going to be Ryan, Keith, and myself in the roundup. So let's kick it off with the pre-show match. The storyline that CM Punk coming back, that's nothing compared to Ziggler and Corbin getting another match. That's happening here.
This is why I'm laughing, Juan, is because I can't believe this match is even on the card. I had no idea. Like, they're actually doing this again? There's been, like, nothing that's happened in, like, 2 weeks for this.
But it's happening. It's in the pre-show,
The last thing that happened, the low blow?
Yeah, I think so. And that was, like, at least 2 weeks ago, maybe even 3.
2 weeks ago.
It's happening, man.
Wow. Oh, I mean, I don't even know, man. I mean, I guess Baron Corbin's just going to win again.
Agreed. Don't really care. Amazed that this is still going on. Corbin wins, I guess.
Corbin wins. Ziggler just, I don't know, man. I'm just going to move on here. Up next, another match that's going to be taking place in the pre-show and should not take place in the pre-show. We have Apollo Crews battling Sheamus. I'm
going to actually go with Sheamus here. I don't think Crews is going to get a win so quickly. I know Sheamus has kind of fallen off the hierarchy of sorts lately, but that's still a pretty big win for him. And it's still a pretty big win. I don't think they would just have him just run over Sheamus. I think they want to make it a little bit more of an uphill battle, which is something Apollo Crews needs. He doesn't need the easy wins over and over again. He really needs like some sort of struggle, because right now he comes off as too perfect and squeaky clean. He needs some sort of like difficulty.
So for the exact opposite reasons of everything you just said, I think Apollo Crews will win the match.
That's
an excellent point, Ryan, and that's why Crews should win.
But no, it's the opposite of everything he said. Like, I think that Apollo Crews will get that squeaky clean win, and it really won't be that much of an uphill battle because Sheamus has fallen so down. Like I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll be it'll be more of a fight than a match, but I think Crews will get the W.
You think they're just gonna go with bad booking is basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm actually gonna have to go with Keith though. Because if this was Apollo Crews versus, I don't know, Rusev, then I'd say maybe, yeah, so Rusev wins, he comes back, but Sheamus has really fallen off. I mean, all the way to the pre-show here, and this is a former WWE champion we're talking about. Although, just a quick comment, I like the intensity that they had Apollo Crews show on Raw. Like, I mean, yeah, just running down, but just, it's what they need to do, and I think it should be a clean win, and he moves on. Honestly, like, you already have Corbin. You have Corbin and Ziggler feuding for like 5 years at this point, right? Just move on.
But still, this is their first match between Crews and Sheamus.
I mean, no better match, no better pay-per-view they debut than the pre-show, right?
True. All right. I disagree, but we don't have to agree on everything.
That is very much true. Now, I'm curious about this one here. Let's go to the United States Championship match. Titus O'Neil looks to become the world's greatest United States champion plus dad as he battles the champion Rusev with Lana.
I really don't see Rusev losing here. It's good to see Titus O'Neil involved in a singles title feud, but he really just hasn't been positioned too strongly for me to think he's a believable contender. So I think this is just kind of one feud that Rusev's just going to run through as they're trying to recover from the League of Nations and building Rusev back up.
Agreed. I think Rusev's going to get the win here. Titus O'Neil hasn't really been a credible contender, I would say, and I wouldn't really believe it or want it if he won. I think Rusev is going to win.
Rusev versus Crews is going to be one hell of a match.
Yes.
And that is why Titus O'Neil must lose. And then we have a new number one contender in the Crews. I mean, it writes itself. Rusev is vicious and powerful. Crews is powerful and a high flyer. I am
Get
really
ready
looking
for
forward to
Crews Control, Maggle.
Yeah.
So what they've been on for most of this year.
Crews Control. I mean, it was the name of a Speed movie, right?
And his theme song.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's actually kind of like a passive thing when you really think about it.
Is there seriously a movie called Speed Cruise Control?
Isn't it like Speed 2 Cruise Control? Because they're on like a cruise.
Okay, we need to.
Are you looking this up, Keith?
Okay, I think we're all looking at this right now. Speed Cruise. Okay, it's true.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Speed 2 Cruise Control.
But yeah, like Cruise Control is like passive though, isn't it?
Like you don't need your hands on the wheel for cruise control. When I think like high octane aggression,
you think Cruise Control.
I think cruise control. No.
They're going to use it eventually. Just get ready.
Oh, they are. But let's move on to the women's tag team match now. We have Charlotte and Dana Brooke battling Natalya and Becky Lynch.
Well, let's see. The title is not on the line because it's a tag match, and this is a great opportunity for Charlotte to lose. So I think Natalya and Becky Lynch are going to win.
Agreed. I think it'll be a extension of what happened on Monday where Dana Brooke makes a mistake and causes Charlotte to lose the match. And then, Natalya and Becky will get the W from that.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much else to talk about here. I'm surprised, right? Much like Ziggler and Corbin, that Natalya has been actively involved. Although, we saw Paige formally go back on Raw. She defeated Charlotte, so maybe after this we get Paige involved, and that's why we don't have a women's championship match now, so that's a possibility.
Natalya and Ziggler are pretty much in the same spot at this point.
Huh. That's kind of true. Interesting. Minus the whole gender difference. But now let's get to the Fatal 4-Way WWE Tag Team Championships match.
This is not a ladder match, as I messed up last week.
We both did, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, so good job, guys.
Yeah, so New Day defends against The Club, Enzo and Cass, and the Vaudevillains.
All right, I predicted the club were going to win last time, but they're going to win. Oh, no, what did I say? The Vaudevillains or something? Yeah.
You don't even know what you said now.
Yeah, I thought the New Day basically last pay-per-view were going to lose the titles. I think this is the pay-per-view they lose the titles, and I think it's going to go to the club.
See, I don't think they're going to lose. I think they are going to keep the titles on the New Day just so they have the technicality of not having to break them up in the draft. You can't break up the WWE Tag Team Champions, right? So I think for that reason alone, the New Day is going to retain.
That is a really good argument for that. Like, if you apply that, I would have to agree with you, but I'm not gonna agree with you, Keith, right now.
All right, then.
I'm actually gonna go with Ryan and say that the club, as much as I really don't care about them right now, I talked about this last week, I think they are very much just the most normal guys in the room right now, and a little bit soft, but I think they're going to become the new WWE.
Most normal guys in the room.
How you doing?
When when Doc Gallows, I can't even get their names right, said
Luke Gallows, you still can't get their names right.
Did I say it wrong again? God damn it. When he said just joke skis this week, I wanted to just turn my television off.
Their writing was like the most generic writing imaginable.
Oh my god, it was so bad.
They are like the best mediocre 80s tag team dialogue brought up to 2016. Like, this is dialogue you would see from a lot of old wrestling, and I'll keep saying it, like, please, if you've not seen a lot of Luke Gallows and his interactions, go online, buy the Wrestling Road Diaries 2. You're going to love it. That dude's freaking awesome, incredibly talented. So I don't know what's happening here, but it is what it is, right? So let's now move on to the Money in the Bank ladder match for an opportunity at the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, thanks to the contract. Kevin Owens, Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, Alberto Del Rio.
Now, there was an interesting poster that came out of Battleground that may have showed Dean Ambrose with a Money in the Bank briefcase. So, I mean, sometimes that means nothing. Sometimes it means everything.
Oh.
No doubt the two favorites here are Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. And this poster compels me to pick Dean Ambrose, and also because I think they want to find a way to make Dean Ambrose champion eventually, and I feel like the Money in the Bank briefcase is a great way to do it. And I think this creates intrigue for that Shield triple threat. Now, they teased it during the whole Ambrose Asylum thing. I don't think we're getting it anytime soon, but I think they want that in their back pocket, and the best way to do that is to have Dean Ambrose with the briefcase.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It seems like the obvious one that they won't go with, because they did tease it so heavily on Raw, and that's kind of how the WWE works these days. But I honestly think they're just going to take the route of Dean Ambrose. It really builds that intrigue. Like, they can almost make the story about Seth and Dean at that point while Roman still being the champion. It seems like a very easy way to go about it, and I think that's what they'll do.
Yeah, like pretty much what you guys mentioned, it's the most obvious option, but for once, the obvious option is the best option. Dean Ambrose becoming champion sounds like a really fun idea. It keeps him involved. He's already involved in the title scene, like just by being friends or part of the family. Yeah, associated with Rollins and Reigns. So by far, Dean Ambrose is going to be the winner there.
And if Kevin Owens wins, I won't shed a single tear.
Yeah, like a lot of good options here.
I'd be happy with that too. I'd even like Chris Jericho, even though I know you guys both hate it.
No, I love your idea.
Oh, you do? Oh, that's right.
I'm on your team.
And Jericho, like, as the guy that actually created the Money in the Bank ladder match, let the guy win one time, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. They've talked about a lot how he's never won it, so that he's totally the dark horse pick.
So, now let's get to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Roman Reigns defends against Seth Rollins.
You're not even saving this one for last. Wow.
Nope.
Because real talk, it's not the main event.
Yep.
Roman Reigns, I can't see it going any other way. As much as we'd all love to see Seth Rollins win here, Reigns is keeping that title for quite a while. So get comfortable, folks, because that title ain't going nowhere.
Keith, I already put your pick as Reigns. Am I right?
I don't know.
Whoa.
Because if if Ambrose does win the Money in the Bank, maybe he does beat, okay, let me try that again. If Dean Ambrose wins Money in the Bank, maybe that means Seth Rollins beats Roman Reigns and then Dean cashes in on Rollins.
You think he would actually cash in same night?
Why not?
Why?
Because we just talked about how they're going with the easiest way. They've straight up said that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen exactly. When does things ever happen exactly like someone says it's going to happen? I mean, yes, maybe they teased that Ambrose would win the Money in the Bank, but do you think he would tease winning Money in the Bank and then also cash in that night exactly like he said he was going to on Raw?
But I don't think Ambrose is going to cash in on Reigns. That's not going to happen. At some point, Seth
Ambrose
is going to have to beat him. Ambrose has a whole year
to cash in. I'm thinking he inserts himself into the Mania main event.
But that's been done before.
And that makes the Shield
When was
triple
the last
threat.
time somebody cashed in the same night? I think it was Kane multiple years ago.
I think it goes as far as to what is the SummerSlam main event, because it seems like a cool thing right now. I mean, maybe that's how you work something related to the brand split. Like, I don't know, like you put the title on Ambrose and then like whatever happens, it's like, hey, he's the champion, so Reigns can just go wherever. Like maybe that's what they do. It seems weird, but I mean, I can go with it. So you're going with Rollins?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take the one pick for this pay-per-view, the crazy one, and say Rollins wins.
Thank you. So thank you. It's a matter of time before somebody else did it, because I'm actually going to go with Reigns. So you have the crazier pick tonight. Let's see what happens this Sunday for pretty much everything Ryan talked about. I mean, it just seems like a weird opportunity here, and I think that as cool as it would be for Dean Ambrose to cash in, I think he's going to be injured enough or something so that it can't happen even though he wants to, just to get that badass type of thing going on. So that's going to be my pick. And now, the real main event. AJ Styles versus John Cena. I'm looking forward to your picks right now.
I'm going to pick AJ Styles. I think the whole contract signing thing with, AJ with the club versus AJ without is more of like an honor system thing where, hey, you're signing this saying it's going to be a one-on-one. But I think AJ's obviously going to break that and use the club to win. And then AJ's going to lose the next 7 matchups that they have. But AJ is getting the first win.
I'm going to disagree and say I think because that one-on-one contract happened, that's going to be their whole, well, that's why AJ lost. And then it puts him deeper down this hole where going forward, he can't beat John Cena without the club. So because that whole one-on-one thing happened, I think Cena's going to end up winning.
Now, I would traditionally go down that route, but the fact that Cena on promos has said, like, hey, you can beat Reigns, what makes you think you can beat me? He's got to beat Cena. I mean, damn. Otherwise, like, not only did you lose to Reigns, you got called out by Cena, but then you lose to Cena?
And he lost to Jericho at Mania, too.
Yeah. Like, that seems like a lot of losses,
He's
right?
going on the Ryback losing tour right now.
Like, it just seems like a really tough thing. I have no doubt he's going to lose to Cena more times than he's going to win. But this first one, as we saw with Kevin Owens, they got to win that first one, especially when he's lost so many times here.
But this is how it happens almost every single time.
That is the world of wrestling, my friend. That's the WWE. How does that feel?
Not good.
Yeah, gang, that's been it for our predictions. Definitely tweet us your predictions. Let us know who do you agree with the most. Drop your predictions also on YouTube. And now let's get to some questions. You can send them over to bytethatcast@gmail.com. Dropping on Twitter, bytethatcast with the hashtag AskBT. Or if you're listening to us on YouTube, simply leave a comment on the latest episode. So now I leave you with Keith Poshik, who will soothe you with his voice.
Why, yes, I will. So our first question this week comes from Nancy L., who asks, "Hello, guys. Hello. It's Nancy from Salt Lake City, Utah again. I have a question. With John Cena and AJ Styles feud going on and being very interesting, do you think Roman Reigns is being a bit overshadowed? I personally feel like he has, although it does seem that creative could be doing it on purpose to reduce heat on Reigns, but part of me feels like it is unintentional. I listened to the Taz show and he pointed out that with Cena's promo on AJ about being unable to beat Reigns and now picking a fight with him, Cena seems to have put himself over the title, which in turn hurts Reigns, and I agree. I personally feel more invested in the Cena Styles than Rollins and Reigns, because I find myself skipping or ignoring what's going on in the title picture even though I am a fan of Rollins."
That is an incredible point. And I want to point out, she sent this email before Raw, and what Cena
Boy,
said
did
on
that
Raw.
point get hit home on Raw, where he put both himself and AJ over the title.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. Like, there's the WWE roster, and there's AJ and Cena, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
is
it's just Cena, really. I don't think AJ's at that point.
No, this is a very good analysis and really kind of just emphasize what we were talking about earlier, where this Cena AJ match just feels bigger than the title. As far as the whole thing with Reigns, where are they putting less focus on him so he gets less heat? It's really like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because we're talking about, oh, now Reigns seems like he doesn't matter, but then we're complaining if he gets too much TV time. I think it really comes down to, is Reigns making the most of the time that he has? And whether it's poor booking or writing or whatever, I'm not always just blaming him. It doesn't seem like with whatever time they're using Reigns, they're being very effective with him.
Exactly. As long as John Cena keeps calling himself the face that runs the place or things along that line, it almost feels like he's the final boss of the WWE, even without the championship. I think, and honestly, I think he's earned that. He's very similar to Triple H in that role in the middle 2000s, where even if Triple H didn't have the title, he was still a very big deal and still always at the top of the card.
It's crazy. In many ways, he's taken over the Undertaker's spot. Undertaker had that with WrestleMania, but then Cena just has it with WWE. If you really want to be the main event player here, you got to battle John Cena and come out on top. Kevin Owens lost the majority of them, but, he had that. And I think WWE, they're not at fault for this because the fans also perceive this. You can try as hard as you want to build Reigns to being bigger than Cena. It's not going to happen because they've tried. And look at where we are right now. But great question.
Indeed. So thank you for it. And our next one comes in from TMK Tanner, who asks, ice cream cake, cheesecake, or normal cake?
Cheesecake for sure. Cheesecake Factory, man. White chocolate raspberry. It speaks to my soul.
See, for me, it depends. If it's a layered cheesecake where there are different kind of textures, then yes, like a key lime cheesecake is also great. But otherwise, normal cake, ice cream cake. I live in Puerto Rico. You buy an ice cream cake here, and in 3 minutes, that thing is on the floor. I speak from experience.
That's so sad. I feel so sad for you right now. See, shocker this week, but I'm once again disagreeing with Ryan. I think cheesecake is disgusting. I'm not a big fan of sweets, and cheesecake is just sweet overload to me. I don't like it at all.
You haven't had my cheesecakes, man. Real talk.
Maybe one day.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you pick then?
Ice cream cake. It's the best.
See, normal cake, it's really only if someone gives me a piece of cake, I will eat it. I will never seek out you know what I mean? If I'm at a restaurant, I'll never get like a slice of cake for dessert or anything like that. Never, ever. It's, on my birthday or somebody else's birthday or some sort of celebration, I'll eat a piece of cake. but I'll never actually like go out of my way for one. Cheesecake, on the other hand, fantastic. Ice cream cake, I really do like, but that's another thing I wouldn't like seek out.
Exactly. Like, I am a fan of cake, but I am also okay with only eating it once or twice a year. Like, I am never going to stop at a grocery store and buy a cake and go to town on it. I don't know if I could live with myself on that.
You'd rather gorge on some of that pizza.
Oh, God. AMA about pizza. Ask me anything.
Oh, my God.
I could eat pizza for days.
I love it.
Oh, pizza's so good. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Mark B, who asks, what are your opinions on What Culture's WCPW?
Okay, some context. What Culture is both a website and a very popular, one of the most popular, if not the most, wrestling-related YouTube channel, their WWE portion. So they talk about hypothetical booking scenarios. They just have so many different shows, over 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. They're one hell of a huge channel, and they're pretty good, right? So, and about 2 weeks ago, they announced that they're launching their own wrestling company. Now, people didn't know to what extent this means. It's going as far as they have Damien Sandow as part of this. So they're flat out, they're going to have arenas, they're going to have weekly events, they're going to have special events. It's all going to go up on YouTube. It's ridiculous that a YouTube entity, because, they're not just this small YouTube channel or something, has got to the point where they can go, instead of talking about wrestling, let's make wrestling, right? So I think it's super cool, because that's definitely an inspiration for anybody out there that, hey, you can start off small, you can do something, and you can eventually talk about your own product instead about others.
For all the reasons you said, I am very excited for it, but I also cannot wait to see what their first few shows are like, especially after, and this is no knock against What Culture, but especially how they have all those videos of how X should have been booked, how Y should have been booked, how somebody should have did this. Like, okay, the floor is yours. Let's see what you do. So I really want to see how that turns out.
Yeah, it's true. Now they are going to learn the hardships of running a wrestling promotion. It is interesting, though. They have such a huge YouTube following that they could really become kind of like the premier YouTube wrestling show. I mean, is there really anything like that where it's legitimately like a huge following that follows just a YouTube exclusive indie show? That could be pretty awesome. It all depends on, is this going to be kind of like an amalgamation of indie stars, or are they going to kind of have like a consistent roster? I'm not sure about that.
No, at least they put out a video about 2 days ago or something, and they were saying, yeah, we're going to have our own roster, storylines, ticket sales. So this is not a one-off or like a seasonal thing, right? Like the premise is, it's here, it's a show. How is this going to work out? I really don't know. We've never seen anything like this, right? So I wish them the very best, because that only helps every other online entity into just being able to do whatever the hell it is you want, And like Keith said, good luck, because a channel devoted mainly to, hey, WWE's not doing this right, this is what they should have done. Now you have that opportunity.
It's going to be very interesting one way or another. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from NKBE1324, who asks, what are your favorite things to watch on the WWE network?
For me, it is definitely pay-per-views, network specials, and the Stone Cold podcasts and stuff. I've seen things like Swerved and things like that, but I primarily watch for basically the things that air live. And I did really enjoy the Seth Rollins WWE 24, but I'm just more about the live content.
For me, I have a couple of answers. I've been watching the latest season of Swerve with my wife, and it's super cool. I enjoy shows like that where, as I mentioned, I tend to watch a lot of WWE Network. How is that new
season? Sorry to interrupt.
It's good. It's good. Like, it's different because not every episode is about wrestlers pranking wrestlers. It's sometimes wrestlers pranking random people like, hey, Paige and Charlotte are pranking people trying to get piercings at Hot Topic. So it's somebody that has no idea about wrestling. One thing you got to check out, which is crazy, Brock Lesnar guy is a big part of one episode.
I saw that today, and it was very good.
Yeah, for those that don't know, basically, he was part of this WWE Performance Center tour, and they framed him to look as if he stole something. I'm just going to say that. Highly entertaining.
And that something was very significant.
Yes. Sami Zayn is the nicest mother shut your mouth on earth, man. I mean, that dude is just so freaking great. So that, and lately, don't ask me why, because Keith is still asking me why, I'm watching some 2000 WCW wrestling. It's great. The one tidbit I can give Ryan, as somebody that never saw any WCW, get your brain ready for this. There was a tag team match in which Chris Candido was teaming up with Tammy, and he was the Cruiserweight champion. They battled Crowbar and Daphne.
Crowbar.
Yes. Daphne pinned Tammy, therefore, Daphne became the Cruiserweight champion. That's it.
Ooh.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Leave that one there.
And at this point, every match is no DQ. Every match. Doesn't matter. That's it. I don't know why.
WCW is just so magical. Now, for myself, I am a giant fan of the network specials, especially WWE 24. I love it. I love every single one. Breaking Ground, I'm very high on, and the new Breaking Ground that came out after NXT is incredible. I cannot recommend it enough. And I really like going back into the archive and watching old pay-per-views, watching old episodes of Raw. I really enjoy building the timeline in my head as I do it. Like, I see Triple H, and then I see, oh, okay, so Triple H was doing this around then. And then a couple months later, this is when he feuded with, I don't know, The Rock or somebody else. I really enjoy building that timeline. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on the network. Can't say that enough. It's definitely worth the money. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Bullet Club versus The Shield.
Oh.
Who asks, what were your thoughts on the Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy promos recently?
Brother Nero.
So I've heard of these. I've heard a lot about these. I meant to watch this because I saw this question.
It?
I still haven't watched it yet. I've heard it's like a beautiful disaster, so I'll let you guys take over.
Okay,
it's
Keith,
so bad. It's
we are
good.
forcing Ryan to watch that after this. Like,
Absolutely.
forcing him.
You cannot, Brother Ryan,
my
you
God.
cannot continue your life until you have seen these promos.
Ryan, I knew you'd come. It's so bad. It's so good.
It's so bad, but it's so beautiful.
Okay, for tiny context, right? If you haven't watched TNA, quick thing. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, they're feuding. Jeff Hardy's middle name is Nero. It's not the DVD burner app, so that's why they're calling him Nero. And Matt Hardy became sort of Bozo the Clown when it comes to looks now. And
because now he's broken Matt Hardy, right?
Yes. And like, hey, people are making fun of this. They are getting mainstream coverage, for better or worse. And they had this segment for a contract signing unlike anything else. It involves their houses and like Rebby and like inconsistent camera angles and glide cams for no reason and random camera cuts and terrible audio. It's so good.
Oh, it's
so
glorious.
Good. It's amazing.
It just goes to show that there is a level of something being so bad that it becomes incredible. I cannot even count anymore how many times I've seen online, I'm going to check out TNA just because of this awful thing. It works.
Brother
it works.
Nero.
So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Harry K, who asks, do you think that ROH, Lucha Underground, or TNA can ever start another Monday Night War?
It seems unlikely now. I mean, never say never, but the circumstances that really led to the whole Monday Night Wars were pretty unique, and they had someone like Ted Turner to be able to, with the money to build up WCW. I just feel like WWE's just gotten way, way too big, and right now the demand for wrestling is not quite as there for TV spots.
TNA almost died this week is something we didn't really have time to cover, so I highly doubt that's going to happen with them. If it wasn't for Billy Corgan, confirmed by basically the person in charge of business management, the monetary part of TNA, the chief, whatever, he posted something on Facebook. Man, like, this journalistic work is just amazing right now. It's something that's confirmed, right? And WWE needs competition badly, so that's why this what culture thing, who knows? They have a freaking huge internet audience that maybe it's going to build enough that it causes some ruckus and it makes WWE go, oh, so that's a different audience that's getting half of what we're getting, but they spend 1/8 of what we spend on our product, you know? So hopefully something happens, but out of the three, easily Lucha Underground, I think, is the best or most probable option.
Agreed, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think since the last Monday Night War, the WWE has gotten too big to fail, because the best wrestling product is in the WWE, and it's not even Raw or SmackDown. Because if something like this were to ever theoretically happen, they could just throw the NXT card out there, bring that up, and then boom, it's instantly shut down. I just don't think we're ever going to see a Monday Night War again.
Yeah, and there's so many ways to view things now that it doesn't even matter if, like that whole, vying for competition on one night on TV. It's like DVRs and just watching streams and everything like that. It's just not the same. You don't really, that battle isn't really there anymore.
Exactly.
It isn't. We've changed. And it just ain't gonna work. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Terrence D, who asks, would you guys be interested in doing a segment on how the WWE should be booked?
This is more kind of what culture stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is very much what culture does. This is a very good question. The answer is that we're not really sure, because we haven't just taken time to just do one video about how WWE should have done something. We sort of like the format right now, at least I can attest to this, where we talk a little bit about different things, and yeah, you may have changed one thing or another, but I don't think that at this point I would go as far as to say, like, point for point, week by week, this is what they should have done. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't mind reflecting on the past, but I think this podcast, all of us are kind of more of the looking forward mindset as far as like there, it's really kind of, I don't want to take away from what culture does, but it's kind of pointless to go back and say how something should have happened point for point when it's literally never going to happen that way. It is, I mean, every once in a while, it's nice to go back and be like, man, if they had just done this here,
exactly,
that would have changed everything. And I totally see that. But then to actually do like the full booking of it, it's a lot of work. And, I'm not going to say we're never going to do it. It's just, I like to kind of look forward and be like, oh, this is what I'd like to see, with the possibility of it still happening.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
That's what. Just a quick thing I want to say is that whenever we do go down memory lane, we'll be more like, we didn't like this for this reason, right? So we'll just think about the specific reason as to why we enjoyed or didn't enjoy something. But maybe, like Ryan said, never say never.
Exactly, and I can't speak for you guys, but I personally like looking forward and trying to really think about how things are going to happen, opposed to looking back and saying, oh, I wish they would have done this. There's just many more possibilities, I find, and it's really a lot more fun to let your mind go crazy with those kind of things. So, and we do that a lot on this show. That's why we have the whole tinfoil hat joke.
Yep.
So thank you for the question. Our final question of the show comes from Draven G, who asks, are there any dream matches that could still possibly happen that you would want to see? For him, it's Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe.
Brock Lesnar versus Joe does sound like a really good one. Keith, off the top of your head, do you have one?
Mine is weird in the way that it has technically happened, but I would like to see it in the WWE lens. I think about AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, their matches in TNA from back in the day. What if they brought that 10 years later into the WWE mold, and just how much more impactful and how much crazier it could potentially be? And I'm pretty sure I just took Juan's answer.
Man. I was like, I know I thought anybody else was going to say that.
And I think that could be incredible.
I mean, let's be real. It pretty much comes down to like Lesnar opponents and AJ Styles opponents, because it feels like every other matchup has been completely exhausted. So it's like I'm looking forward to AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. I think that will be an amazing match. And, you know, maybe we'll get... I do want to see... it's not really a dream match, but that Ryback moment I was talking about. I want to see that Goldberg-Ryback moment. I really do.
Oh, man.
So bad. But it's not really a dream match, but you catch my drift.
Another one that I could think of, if... This is with the disclaimer that if he can still go, I would love to see something like Kurt Angle versus Seth Rollins. That could be an incredible match.
Interesting combination there, yeah. I can see that they're just, I guess, elaborating more as to why I would choose AJ Joe. Unbreakable 2005, that triple threat involving Christopher Daniels. A lot of wrestlers, even ones in WWE nowadays, say that that was the match that got them pumped into getting into wrestling or style. And I would love to see, Joe and Styles 10 years later, two guys that people would go out of their way to say anybody else is going to the WWE. Those two guys never, and they're here. And I would love to see them wrestle, not at NXT, not at an NXT Takeover, but at a SummerSlam or WrestleMania. That's it. Like, you want to show you can make it into this industry, primarily WWE, despite the fact that what people say, man, what a way to just prove that you are worth all the hype. But we want to thank everybody for your incredible, awesome questions. Remember, maybe your question doesn't get popped in. Send us another one, and we will do our best to answer as many as possible. We'll be back next week with a lot more podcasts. But until then, I leave you with Mr. War Machine, Rhino McNulty, who will close out the show.
That's right, Juan. So thank you guys again for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. Before you go, as always, just a few quick announcements. Hit that damn subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that.
Hit it.
On the YouTube.
Hit Ryan.
YouTube.com/Byte That cast. Hit that. Hashtag hit that. Okay.
So
Friday, these two schmucks are doing a draft. One SmackDown, Keith is Raw. Keith has to deal with 3 hours. Feels bad, man, but it's quite an interesting draft that you guys will not want to miss. Also, hey, check out my 2K17 video. I talked about 5 features I want to see. Spoilers, one of them is that they need to fix that damn story mode. We don't need Renee Young doing that. There you have it. And all that repetitive crap. So let's get that fixed. Go watch that video. Let me know what you guys want to see in 2K17. Hey, we got a t-shirt. I happen to be wearing it in that 2K17 thing. The color was a little off, so it looks blue, but it is purple. You can also get it in black. I think it was just the lighting that I had going. That's why that happened. But anyway, whatamaneuver.net, you can get that t-shirt. It is super sexy. Social media, Twitter @ByteThatCast, Instagram Byte That. I'm really trying to sum things up because they're looking at me weird right now. So thank you guys for listening. Hey, episode 150 is coming up, guys. Get excited for that. Because we got some cool stuff coming down the road.
Cooler than Ryan's outro.
Yes, much better. So thank you guys for listening. Keith has no words for this. We will see you guys next week.